Swapnil, we've spoken about EAT and what Google does to rank websites for search. Now, what can publishers do in order to increase or improve their EAT signals, for Google? Like, how can they improve?
It's a very interesting question, and in today's times, it's a lot more important, especially with so many changes coming to the overall search experience, be it generative AI or in general Google changing the way it is displaying search results. So, as a publisher, there's a lot of looming questions on like how do I navigate the overall landscape? How do I make my website, my brand, a strong, authoritative brand? But in the longer term, what ultimately matters is there are three main areas that we like to especially divide when we want to focus on EEAT. First would be the site-wide level changes that you can implement. Then we have the content level changes, which mean that specific articles or specific content types, and how do you ensure that these content types are very strong and they serve all the EEAT best practices. And third would be at an author level, someone who authors the content themselves, someone who reviews the content. And we'll just talk quickly about how each of these things are important and how I would like to show some examples as well here, especially for publishers who are a little niche and have certain categories made with sports or fitness, health, anything. I think there is a lot more stuff we can show to the publishers here today. So this is the first example that I would like to talk about, and I love this website. So I accidentally happened to come across this website looking for some recipe, and and that time I didn't even know. So this website, SeriousEats.com, it's part of the Dot Dash Meredith group. So it's a very large publisher. It's a very large media company, but the way they are looking at all these basic things is something which serves as an inspiration for us. So you as you can see, there is a important tagline that they have. So now they are starting with the overall branding perspective, how they are presenting their brand, what their brand stands for. And next to it, you can see when they started publishing content, what is their monthly readership. Now, this tells us the magnitude, like how big the brand is, how much their audience is. And this acts as a very soft trust signal for the readers or for the quality raters as well. Like if I know that a website has 2 million, 5 million, 10 million visitors coming on that, there's an innate trust that I build blindly with the brand. Then as we scroll down, we see a section which clearly tells us what the brand stands for and who the people behind that brand are. Now, what's interesting about this is over here we can clearly understand like the people behind the brand, how they are creating content, are they qualified enough to create that content. So again, a lot of these points would be clearer when we go into the author and the content part. But your homepage can be the place which is the first place for you to display your authority, trustworthiness signals, and showcase the expertise for your brand as well. Now, over here, you can also see that they have a privacy label, again, which is a very interesting thing. People can trust the brand. So that's like a very easy way for them to actually showcase that, okay, we are verified by third party organization, which is why there is some trust that you can build with us as a brand. And the last, correct, correct, 100%. And in the footer, they also link out to their About Us editorial guidelines pages, which the user can further understand to see how the brand works, what they stand for. So this is the first place where you start considering your optimizations, especially on the EEAT side. The second publisher that I would like to show at a site-wide level, again, a very simple implementation, yet very critical and builds trust instantly, is linking out to your third-party properties, especially if you have a podcast, if you have a YouTube channel. please 100% do link out to it, because again, people can associate a lot more to faces behind a brand. So if you have that asset, please definitely do give preference to that, and starting from your homepage. And the second interesting thing that Barbend does here is they are linking out to the most authoritative publications out there that have linked to Barbend's website. And that way they are actually showcasing that okay, a lot of highly valuable publishers within the fitness space are actually linking out to us, which is why okay, the user can also feel a sense of trust towards the brand.
I think Swapnil, it also kind of demonstrates their authority on that particular topic. So I think this is a good strategy that news, or rather digital publishers, can use. If other websites that are authoritative or trustworthy, either of them, use your content or point to your content, I think it's a very good way to showcase it to your readers as well.
100%, and I couldn't agree more. Especially this is important for publishers who are still growing, who are seeing a lot of influx of traffic and visibility. So this is very critical for them. Bigger brands might not do this, but definitely it's a must recommend for brands that are still growing and enjoying that boost of visibility over time. Now, the second important aspect is related pages similar to the homepage. Now, here I'll just give a quick shout out to one of our clients. We are explorers who are into adventure, travel, and publishing content about adventure experiences. So, over here, what they also do as an add on is they are adding what awards they have won over the years. Now, this strengthens their reputation, gives a lot more authoritative and trust signals, and people know that okay, we are explorers is a bigger brand which has been recognized by industry experts as well. And along with that, they are adding an editorial policy, a fully detailed, fleshed out about us page, which talks us what the brand stands for, what are their values, what kind of partners and people they work with, and how are they also contributing to the community as an overall, which again gives a very strong sense of responsibility and association, especially if you are a niche publisher. This is a very good tactic to target and implement on your website.
Got it. Swapna, so you would say that this page, like, these activities, say having a very well written about us page, informative, would help in two ways. One would be your readers; they will be able to trust you better, knowing your background, and also quality raters who would have to visit your website to evaluate if you are actually what you're saying. You actually are about what you're saying. So that's interesting. I think these are very good tips for publishers to implement. Are there more?
Yeah. So now we have talked about at a site-wide level what you can do, right? The second is at a content level. Now we look at how content can be optimized, how you can add subtle cues, or how you can optimize your article pages, and that acts as a way to overall boost your trust signals and the way people associate with your brand. So within the content, adding sections like how to choose certain products, or how we chose certain recommendations that we have for our readers, or how do we rate, let's say you are a sports publisher, how do we rate a specific game. So adding your own criteria, your own personal touch to the content, that is something people actually yearn for. That is why sites like The Athletic have been able to build a cult readership, especially in niches like sports, and that has translated to a lot of other publishers who are more niche, and in this case, Serious Eats, who is more of a food and cuisine publisher. So definitely feel free and actually try to add as much of your perspective to your content, because people are actually now bored of reading that same old blocks of content which is very generic and can be found on 10 different websites. And I mean, as studies have also shown, right, a lot of the younger generation, especially Gen Zs, are actually trusting a lot more of social media, especially TikTok and Instagram content, more than Google. Again, this is done on a very small data sample, to so something for us to take with a very pinch of salt. But at the same time, this gives us a cue as a content creator and as a publisher that okay, why are these newer younger generations flocking to social media and trusting that? Primarily because of the honesty and their own opinions. So that is definitely something that we as publishers can actually implement in our content, and this can over time help us create a lot of that following and a brand perception for us and our brand.
Interesting. I think this, an exercise like this is going to usually benefit sport websites, like you said. I can also imagine this working for technology websites that review electronics, even entertainment when they do movie reviews, for example, or even, for example, audio, like talking about audio equipment, like, hey, what does the reviewer like listening to? What is their preference in music? So I think that gives a better perspective instead of taking the review purely on face value. This gives a better hey, some people like bass, some don't. Having it clearly written that the reviewer does not like it will it'll kind of also help get rid of biases in the reviews and help people make better informed decisions. So I think, yep, I think this is something publishers should definitely have in place on their website.
100%. I think, and what you mentioned about, like, especially for tech publishers, right? There's hundreds of websites creating best lists out there. So how do you stand out as a publisher? And that is where your geeky, nerdy self coming out makes the whole full circle, right? So and again, Google wants such people to actually thrive, and especially the SGE is going to benefit a lot of these unique and insightful publishers in the longer time. We'll speak more about that in the upcoming part, but I think these are a few ways that you can definitely create a lot more value. And apart from that, if you are publishing a lot of product oriented content, do try to create your own rating criteria of content. Along with that, what you can also consider doing is clearly providing winners, what publishers or what specific products are the best out of the lot that you have tested. Don't shy away from actually recommending those, because people want to know what's the best product, or else it's just a very generic list that isn't actually helpful for the reader.
Yes, I think two pointers that you highlighted, I think that's essential. Is one, having like a rating for all the products that have been reviewed or tested, just because it also gives your readers a perspective of how a product is compared to the previous ones that you've reviewed. Having those rating guidelines are clearly written helps them go back and check that. And second, like you said, having something like editor's choice. Hey, this is the best. A lot of editors and even editorial kind of, they tend to not pick one, just not so that they don't offend the other companies that are, say, especially in the tech space. Hey, you would want to have access to all these latest gadgets, news, games and stuff. So I think, yes, clearly having it mentioned will help your audience, because at the end of the day it's the audience that is really there for that content, it's not the manufacturers. So definitely very valuable points there.
So, and yeah, I mean, the last part of this, I mean, we have talked a lot more about how do you optimize the top level pages on your site, how do you optimize the content. And the third part is the authorship and overall reviewers for that content. So, as you can see here, Serious Eats is actually employing culinary consultants for them, especially who have experience in cuisine, food, and then they are actually carving out a very detailed bio for that person. So you can actually see what their title is, where are they based, what's their expertise, then again having a detailed bio about the experience, education of that person, and then adding some insights about the brand as well. So this is the length of depth they are going for simple pages. From a top level you would consider that okay, who's going to come on this author page, right? But it carries so much perceived importance and so many people actually ignore this. Yet the people who are actually paying attention are silently winning the game, and they're just killing it out there.
Because Swapna, I think like an author page is very important because it's primarily linked from every article that this author writes. Also, Google also picks it up in snippets. They also show that it's written by, and the author name is also hyperlinked from what I remember, just so that people who are searching for a particular product, and if they are aware of the author, it also helps Google build trust, saying that, hey, this link is it's authored by XYZ person who is the authority on this particular. So I think yes, uh, a lot of people tend to have very short author bios, being a little cryptic on what they've done. I think this is especially going to help a lot of journalists out there. If, say, if I look at purely the news publisher circle there, journalists with multiple years of experience being on the field covering a specific topic, say it can be politics, it can be real estate, it can be markets for that matter, financial markets. I think that's it's definitely required to have in-depth detail about authors right there. I think that's a very, very good point this topic.
No, I think what you said so makes so much sense that, again, I like, as a normal author or someone who creates a lot of content, it might not be as much important, but the longer term value as you build a stronger brand, it's so much exponential that the time investment to create such a page is so small, yet the impact it has on the brand, on you as a publisher, it's so much in terms of its magnitude.